Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, Wassalatu Wassalamu ala Rasulillah, Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa halul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I welcome all of you guys in database course. So we'll see how we can create a database. We'll be talking about some basic database concept and terms. Then we'll create a database and then we'll see how we can create a table and store some data, and then we'll do the navigation. So let's see the database. Now, the most important terms that we must know before we start working on a database. The first one is entity. Entity is a table. Okay, for example, patient table, for example, student table or teacher table, in which you can store data related to that table. Second one is attribute. Attribute is a field. The definition is the characteristics of an entity. For example, you have a patient table and you want to store the information about the patient. So the patient has a name, patient has an age, patient has a phone number, patient has the last name. Patient will be having a patient ID. So all these are attributes. Name, age, phone are the attributes. You can call them fields. You can also call them columns of the table. Okay, so we have entity, that is the table. Then we have attributes, which is the fields of the table. And the third term, which is also most important, that is the relationship. Relationship is an association between two entities. What is the entity? The tables. Yani we are having a relationship between two tables. For example, we have a patient table. Okay, in this table we are having information about the patient ID, patient name, patient phone number, patient age, and then a patient is making visit to the doctor. So then we are having a visit table as well. So now the patient is visiting, so patient information is there in patient table and his visit information is available in the visit table. Now these two tables are related to each other. That is why we need to have a relationship between these two tables. Okay, so that is why we are having relationship. So one more time, three entities, three concepts, three terms: entity, attribute, relationship. Okay, remember these one. Now we are having relationship, three types of relationship. Number one is one-to-one relationship. For example, a patient is patient got admitted into the hospital. So the patient will be assigned a room, or patient will be assigned a bed. So this is one-to-one relationship, one patient, one bed, or one patient, one room. Okay, so that is what we call one-to-one relationship. Now, one-to-many relationship, one patient is visiting many times to the doctor. So one patient pay many visits to the doctor. So this is why we call it one-to-many relationship. So we are having a patient table that has a patient ID and patient name, and then patient is making visits. So he can make many visits. So between these two tables, we are having a relationship of one-to-many. Now we are having many-to-many relationship as well. That is what we call one patient can visit many doctors, and one doctor can see many patients. That is why we call it many-to-many relationship. So inshallah, in the future classes, lectures, we will discuss in detail and we will see the practical application of all these relationships. Now, data is one of the most important resource to any business, and data is stored in fields. These fields are like patient ID is a field. You can call it a column as well. So first name, last name, phone. So the data is stored, 22501 or Edward, this is a data. Darcy is a data, phone number is a data, and that data is stored in a field. And the group of fields makes a table. You got it? So the group of field make the table. And this one row is a record. This one row is a record. So Um, Now, let's see. We have a term relational database. When we have a collection of related table, this is called a relational database. Yani related table. For example, the patient has a related table visit. Yani one patient, for example, the Robert is a one patient, 22,529, 22,529, 22,529. He is making many visits, more than one visit. You see that? So patient table is related to the visit table. And they have one column, one common column, that patient ID is available here and patient ID is available here. So this common column is creating a relationship between the two tables, patient and a visit table. So that is why we call it a relation table. So one more time, the relational database is a collection of related table, and those tables are connected to each other on a column, a common field, on a column, a common column. Okay. Now we have a primary and a foreign key. Remember, primary key is always a unique. If you see in the patient table, the patient ID is a primary key. It will never happen that you can give two primary keys, two IDs to same patient. It will never happen. So the patient ID is a primary key. Okay. And now the foreign key. This patient ID, when we store in a different table, in a related table, then we call it a foreign key. We will never call it a primary key. It's a foreign key here. Why? Because we are having, like, you see here, duplicate value. And the primary key is always unique. But we can use this primary key in a different table as a foreign key. Okay, so the foreign key must be a primary key of another table, and it cannot be unique. You see, so all the conditions are fulfilled, that we have a foreign key, that is a primary key of another table. Now we will try to create a blank database. Okay, so let's start the Microsoft Access. So we'll start the Microsoft Access now. Now if we start Access, we can click on we can type Access, and there you go. So in this Access table, I can click on the blank desktop database. Okay, and now I can give a path. If I want to, I can go to this path and I can create a database, and I name it registration database. Okay, I can click OK, and now I can create the database. It will be created in this path, so I can click on the create. So this is my table. Now I can just adjust it. Okay, now if you see here, we want to create and save a table. Okay, so in a datasheet view. So for example, this is my table. I want to create a table with these columns, with these fields. What is that? This is my visit table, and there's a visit ID, there's a patient ID, visit date. What is the reason for the visit? And then was it a walk-in or a scheduled appointment? So we can have these kind of columns into the table. So visit ID is going to be a primary key, because every time you made a visit, so it should be unique. Patient ID is ID for the patient, but patient can visit many times, so it is not going to be unique. Visit date the day the date it will be visiting, and then reason why is making the visit, and then walk in. So let's create the table. So I will say, okay, this is my visit ID. Okay, I can change this one. I can change this one too. But before I change, let me go here and I can say, okay, I need a short text because, and this is going to be my visit ID. I can press tab and then I can say, okay, the next column is also short text because any ID, you don't need to do the calculation. So there is no need to put the number. So this is my patient. One thing you remember, whenever you type the field name, try not to give any space. For example, like patient ID, no, I don't want a space, okay? This is the best practice, that if you don't give a space to the column name, otherwise you'll end up in different troubles, you know. And now we have a visit date, but we have the date type, right? So we are not going to select the short text, we'll go for the date and time. And the field name is visit date. Press tab. And now you can go for the reason. Reason for sure is a short text. So I can say reason. By the way, short text is approximately 255 characters. And then we have walk-in. Walk-in is yes or no. So we have a yes or no column. So I can click on this field and I can say, okay, WALK walk-in, like that. So now I can click on the save and I can say, okay, change the name of the table. I can say visit. Click OK. So the table 1 is going to be now visit. You see that? And now I don't need this column, this ID. So what I can do is I can just go to the visit. I can go to the design. You see here, I have a design. Two views I have. One is datasheet. At this point in time, I am in the datasheet view. And this is my design view. So I can delete this auto number. Simple way, right click and delete, or you can click on the delete row. Okay, he says that, do you want to delete this field anyway because it's a primary key? Yeah, I want to delete it. And now I want to create this as a primary key. So I can click on the key and you see when I click, the key, small key will come here. Click on that and you see here, the key is here. I can save the table. Now I can go for the datasheet view. You see that datasheet view. So I'm back again here. So let's see and enter the record now. So 1550 is the patient and the patient ID is, this is the visit ID. So patient ID is 22549 and this is on like 12/1/2015. And the reason is influenza. Influenza. And this was a walk-in. Yes, this was a walk-in. So I can press space to make a check mark. Okay. Similarly, now as soon as I start typing, you will see this is the new record. This star represents a new record. I can type one more records. 1527 is my visit ID. By the way, as soon as I type, you see the start editing. You see the pencil. This will represent that, okay, I'm doing the editing in this record. 522 and this is 11/9/2015. For example, allergies, environmental, and this is also an appointment like this. Okay, now what I can do is I have this data available in my Excel sheet. Okay, so I can go to the data and I can copy all this stuff. Okay, I can copy and I can come here and I can click on that row. You see here, if you are here inside the column, it will be you'll be in trouble. Okay, so better not to be in column, better click on this row and press Ctrl V, the paste, and it says you are about to paste 6 records. So this is how you can make copy paste. By the way, wherever it is no, you see it is blank. This 1555 is blank because it is no, and yes, the next one is yes, and then next two is like blanks, no. So this is how you can add so we can add the record with the help of copy and paste. Now I can close this table, okay, and now I want to open it. And by the way, I can shutter bar. I can close the shutter bar, and I can open the shutter bar. There is another one, this one. So click visit, double click on that, and you can see the table like that. Okay, and that's it for today. Jazakumullah khair. Inshallah, in the next lectures, talking about we'll be talking about copying records from another access database. We'll talk about some navigation button. We'll be working on the query, form, report. By the way, these are the objects of the database that we'll be working on. That's it. Kafara majlis. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته